Blog Talk Radio.
What do you do when you don't know? Just go and ask for do-de-o-do. Ahura Z will journey with you to all the places others
Ready to
won't
save
go.
the day.
What do you do when you don't know? Just go and ask for do-de-o-do. Ahura Z will journey with you to all the places others won't go.
You're listening to Ask the Unicorn, live with Ahura Z, answering all your paranormal, metaphysical, and spiritual questions. Call us now at 718-664-9638 to speak with Ahura, or post your questions via chat room on our show page. And now your host, Ahura Z.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Ahura Z, and how are you this evening? I hope you all are having a very positive time. Welcome to Ask the Unicorn. You are live with me. For those of you that can call in, the number is 718-664-9638. For those of you that have questions, I will do my best to answer any and all questions that you have, so long as they are pertaining to the metaphysical, the spiritual, the paranormal, and the mystical. For those of you that have questions about personal matters, that is fine. I'm willing to answer any of those questions. However, I must make my weekly statement that tells you that I'm not willing to answer any questions about someone's death or whether or not they're going to die, or personal relationship questions such as, is my husband or my wife cheating on me? I will not answer those questions under any circumstances whatsoever. For those of you that are skeptics, no, I will not guess what you have in your pocket. For those of you that don't believe in the mystical, the magical, or the paranormal, you really have no business being here. For those of you that are open to any type of religion or any type of spirituality that is positive in its nature, you are welcome here. And I hope you tell your friends about it, because we are here every single week, and we love what we do here. Anyway, I want to talk to you about a few things this evening, and I'll kind of make it the topic. Learning and understanding different people. Okay, or different types of spirituality or different spiritual walks. I think that we need to, as people, open our understanding realm, or open our wellspring of understanding, so that we can accept every single religion or every single spiritual walk as being valid and being here. I know that there are a lot of people that don't agree with some religious standpoints and do agree with others, and I think this is an appropriate topic, because I've been kind of looking at different beliefs all week, and I really do like the way that people reach out to other people, and I hope that we all do that, because in this particular world we can use a little spiritual understanding and universal thought. Anyway, what I'm going to do is open the floor for a moment to some questions, and let's get right under. I'm here this evening with Kazi. Kazi, say hello.
Hello. Welcome to Ask the Unicorn.
And we're having a great time here, so let's get right to the questions. What do you got?
Well, this first question is from R. My friend passed away. I had dreams that made me feel inclined to help them in death, though their death was unexpected. I feel strange forces of an extremely oppositional nature around them that seem to be holding me back from checking to see if they are okay and to give them guidance. However, I have had dreams where they make it to a more grounded place years before. This is my only comfort into what is currently happening. I want to help, but I'm not certain how without putting myself in harm's way.
If you're not certain as to how without putting yourself in harm's way, it's best that you back out of that particular realm and think about what you're really doing. Okay? You're talking about helping someone on the spiritual realm or in the realm on the other side, but you have absolutely no clue as to what it is that you're doing or how to do it. At that particular time, I think that you need to realize that there is no real time or space in the spiritual realm, so you have plenty of time to train yourself or find someone that is capable of training you, and then you will be able to help. As for right now, though, you're not going to get an instant answer. There's no such thing. There are ways to help your friend, but you have to learn the right ways first. This is not like baking a cake. You can't just read the instructions and hope to go out and, do what it is that you say that you want to do. You have to take some time. For those of you that believe that you can become a master overnight, you are severely deluding yourself, okay? There's no such thing as a 13-year-old Reiki master, because a 13-year-old barely knows how to keep his pants dry, Okay, so you're going to have to take a long time to master anything, and especially if you're looking to help in the spiritual realm. It's going to take almost a lifetime of experience, you know, and even when you reach a certain age and you're doing these things diligently, you understand that you're merely an adept and still a student of the universe, and therefore the only master are those that have mastered time and space themselves. And quite frankly, that's very, very, very few of us. So don't feel like you'll fail your friend. There is no time and space in the spiritual realm, so you have plenty of time to train yourself. We're going to get some type of training. Okay, just take your time. Don't panic. Don't feel as though there are forces that are trying to stop you from learning, because they're not. You know, there may be those out there that are willing to back you and those out there that are not willing to back you, but you're going to have to be the strong person and find those things that you need to find in order to help the way that you say that you want to help. So my suggestion to you, get trained first, get educated first, and then see what you can do. Okay, let's go ahead and go to another question.
Next question is from Annabelle. She says, Jupiter is now in retrograde. Since it governs financial matters, needless to say, this sucks. Is there anything we can do to offset this influence?
Yes, stop looking at it like it sucks. Okay? You can't draw any amount of positivity to you unless you're willing to be positive from the get-go. Okay, to look at everything in a very dim light merely gets you dim light. If you know that Jupiter is retrograde right now, that means that there's an opportunity there for you to build up certain force in order for you to be slingshotted ahead when it goes direct. However, my first answer holds true. As long as you're being negative, it's going to be a negative experience. You've got to find a way to dig deep and be that positive person somehow. Even if you can't be positive, just be neutral. Okay? And understand that we all go through some pretty tough times. You know, but there's always a light. At some point in time, the opportunity will come. And if you're being negative, you won't see the opportunity. However, if you're being positive, you're staying there and understanding that we all have to be warriors in this time and age, you will meet the bus as soon as it comes to the bus stop. So remember, stay positive. So find a way to stay positive. There are things that you know that you can do in order to be positive. Just make sure that you are. And remember, it's just a cloud. There's always there's a beautiful day out there, and all of a sudden there's a cloud that happens to be right where the sun is, just to come along and give you a little difficulty in your day. But if you look at it hard enough and you concentrate hard enough and you wait and just show a little bit of patience, that cloud will pass, and so shall your difficulty. So just stay positive, okay? All right. Let's move on to something new and different.
Another question?
Yes, definitely.
Right. Next question comes from Xanda. Good evening. I was curious to hear your perspective on psychic abilities and what they actually are in comparison to the beliefs and expectations that people have. On that same note, I would like to hear your thoughts about readers and what their job actually is.
That's pretty good. By the way, that's Xanda?
Xanda.
Xanda. Mm-hmm. Beautiful name. Well, Xanda, let me just tell you, first of all, those are really good questions. So, okay, I'm going to answer them in reverse, okay? In other words, I'm going to answer the last question first. What a reader's job basically is not to think for a person or to make up certain things or try to get them into a cryptic maze or anything like that. A reader's job is to point the way. In other words, help a person to navigate their way through what is coming for them. There are events that have passed in a person's life and events that are happening now and events that will happen. What a reader's job is to point out those things and then give that person the opportunity to either meet the universe on the street corner that the universe is asking them to, or to not meet the universe on the street corner the universe is asking them to. In other words, I can sit up all day and tell you that you will win the lottery, okay? But then, if I do that, then I have the responsibility of telling you which lottery, what day it's going to be played, and give you the numbers at the same time, which is virtually impossible when you're talking about the future, okay? Anyone who believes that they have guessed what the numbers of the lottery are because of their being so psychic or or having some kind of skill is seriously, again, deluding themselves, because there are millions of us telepaths and psychics that can say, hey, I can see where you lost your keys. I can and never have been to your house, or I can tell you things of the future. But, it's the funniest thing when I get down to thinking about what those numbers are in the lottery thing. I either missed them all by one, or they just don't come up, or the day that I don't play the lottery is the exact day that my numbers come up. It's just kind of like that, and it's like that with almost anything in our future. So here's what a reader's job is. A reader sees an event that is coming, or the energy of an event that is coming. The reader has a choice of telling you exactly what's going to happen, or somewhat what is going to happen, and then says, look, if you want to either avoid this or you want to fulfill this, then here's what you should do. And what you should do. Not say things like, there's snow on the mountaintop, and you have absolutely no clue what that means, or to say something like, someone in your life whose name begins with an R and R and R, or because lots of people whose names begins with R, and that doesn't really do anything for you. All you're going to do is pick the first one that you can bring to mind, or someone's name begins with a B, Buford, you can come up with almost any name. That's not the job of a psychic or a reader or a telepath. That's not our job. Our job is merely to help you to light up those things that need to be lit. In other words, if I see a dangerous event coming from you, my job isn't to scare you and say, hey, you're going to fall off of this cliff if you go to the corner of Crenshaw and Florence. No, that's not what I'm supposed to do. What I'm supposed to do is just tell you, I see some negative things that are coming up. However, if you'd like to avoid these negative things, this is what you should do. Okay, and then give you precise instructions. That is our job. I see some very positive things coming up for you. This is going to happen, or maybe this, and how about we if you need for this to happen, this is what you're going to have to do. Okay, that's our job. That's what we're supposed to do. To tell you that someone is going to die is one of the rudest things that you could possibly do to a person. It borderlines on evil, because at that particular moment you have scared that person. You have caused them to be paranoid. You have caused them to be confused, and you have caused them a lack of sleep and a lack of rest, and you have caused them a lack of peace. At that particular moment, you are guilty of harming that person. You can't do that. You merely have to guide the person and tell them, listen, we need to do this. And if that person asks why, you just look at them and you can say, there's some negative events that I see coming up, and I think that we can totally avoid them if we do this. Okay? Or if the person comes to you and says, hey, I had this dream, and in this dream this and this and this happened. And you need to explain to them, okay, I understand that you saw this particular person, but because you saw this particular person doesn't mean that it is. It's merely a representation, or the energy that you saw represented itself in this particular fashion. The job as a reader is to help you to navigate, okay? Help you to avoid certain pitfalls and help you to meet certain benefits. That's our job, okay? Our job is not to make up things. Our job is not to sound cryptic, although we do have a habit of doing that. And, I've, come in the company of some very, very profound readers and some very, very wonderful readers that sometimes they sound a little cryptic. It's just the way that it is. I've been accused of being Morpheus for, I don't know how many times I've been accused. Hey, you sound just like Morpheus. However, I was here before that movie came out, and I've always spoken the way that I do. So what you're going to have to do is understand that a reader's job is not to think for you. Our job is merely to hold your hand through the storm and get you through the storm, or get you to that place of flowers that you want to be to. So understand that first and foremost. Also, no, you don't need a reading every 2 weeks. That's absolutely ridiculous, okay? I tell people a lot of times, I say, you really don't need another reading in 2 weeks. That's just ridiculous. You've got to wait for things to unfold, and you've got to see how they come into your life. Now, if you want me to sit and take your money all the time, I'd be happy to do that, and you could just say that you got a reading, but the truth is you don't. Another thing, you don't need 2-hour readings. Any reader that wants to do a 2-hour reading for you is full of baloney. So understand that there are different types of readings, different types of readers, psychic and telepathic, and we have a job to do. And no matter what anybody tells you, it is a valid job. That job is merely to help you get through the things that you need to get through in your life in order to be a better person or to fulfill those things that you need to fulfill to bring peace to your life. That is the basic job of a reader. Also, someone who is a spiritual counselor or a telepathic counselor like myself. So the first question is...
she wanted to hear your perspective on psychic abilities and what they actually are in comparison to the beliefs and expectations that people have.
Well, I don't know what the beliefs and expectations that everyone does have. However, I can tell you that a person who has a psychic ability has a psychic ability, and most of the times those people that are psychic or those people who are telepathic don't sit around and think about it. There are people who are intuitive. They may have a lucky guess here and there, and they believe that there's something wrong with them based upon what society has believed or what society has placated. There are a lot of people that became very, very famous on their psychic belief, and I can tell you that a couple of them are actually valid, but there are some of them that are just going with the flow, and someone decided that this is what we want a psychic to look like. Or, we want every psychic to talk about there's a little girl that is in pain somewhere, not denying the fact that there are a lot of people that are in pain. We want certain things to, based upon how popular something is going to be, we come up with clever things to say. And it's unfortunate because people with an intuitive ability or psychic ability are just matter of fact. We always have been, just... kind of like farmers. You don't go to a farmer and say, hey, I'm skeptical about you growing corn. When the farmer's grown corn all their life, no one, they don't sit over huddled in a corner and say, oh my God, I grow so much corn. I just grow so much corn and, it's causing me great pain. No, they just do it because they're good at it. Okay? And it's a natural way of them being. As for myself, I did not go through all of the trauma that people claim is associated with psychism, nor is my head up in the clouds all of the time. When I see something, I see something. If I don't see something, I'm quite honest about it. I don't sit and go, oh, let me consult my people, and go into a trance and do things. If I don't see it, I don't see it. And most of the time, what people believe is one thing. There's a difference between what a person believes and what a person knows. I say what I know. I don't say what I believe because it really doesn't do anything. Psychic ability is psychic ability, whether or not someone believes in it. Telepathic ability is telepathic ability, whether or not someone believes in it or endorses it. I really don't care. You can have people all day that say, well, science says that this doesn't exist, and what do I care what science says? Science lies all the time. We still don't have flying cars. And I remember watching the Jetsons and watching all these other things that said the science will by the year 2000 have developed this. They can't even figure out how to get sodium out of food. Okay, so I don't want to hear what science has to say. At least not popular science. Pure science is a different thing. Remember, pure science is the discovery of all things that have not been seen before, and accepts them all equally, whether they come under the heading of psychism, spiritual, or scientific. It's all a discovery, and we need to find out what that is. That's pure science, and then find a way to help it to benefit us as humankind. So my perspective on psychic ability is pure and simple. It exists. There are people that have psychic ability, and if they do have psychic ability, they owe it to themselves and the world to develop that psychic ability. Otherwise, it's no good. So I hope that answers your questions, because that's exactly the way that I feel about it. It's not like I can give you a huge dissertation on you. I can only tell you that, look, as a telepath, I've always been this way. I just had to develop my gifts, and I had to help someone that was very powerful help me to do that. So I hope that does help you. Now, what I'm going to do is I see that we have a couple of people that have called in, I'm going to go to Sherry first, and we're going to allow her in our studio. And here we go. Sherry, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm just wonderful. What is your question this evening? You're on the air live with Ahura Z. That would be me.
I just had a dream that was very vivid.
Okay, what was your dream?
It was supposed to be like a work-type dinner, and we were getting ready to eat, and they had ordered a round of salads with lobster on top. The lobster was already cleaned and placed on top of the salad to look like a lobster, like they formed it back into its regular shape after they took it out of the shell. But the lobsters were everywhere.
Okay. Very simply, there are two different ways to look at this, but I'm going to give you the best way to look at it, okay? You're at a function that is at your place of employment, which basically means that you have work on your mind most of the time. Also, you may have an event that is coming up that you'll need to get ready for. It's not necessarily a lobster dinner, but it does means getting something in shape. In other words, the function that you're going to be asked to go to has to do with the company and your placement in the company. So pay attention for that opportunity, okay? It's coming very soon. I'm assuming this particular dream was in color, yes?
Oh, yeah. That's what it was. Okay. They were bright red.
Okay, bright red. Bright red has to do with passion. It also has to do with creativity, which basically means it's coming very, very quickly, and it'll come very hot and fast because, remember, you're also dealing with a south type of a vibration, south wind being red. So it's going to come up soon, and when it does, you should be ready for it. So be appropriate.
If I already knew something that I was going to a seminar, but have the dream after, that doesn't count, right? This would be something different?
I have, when it comes to that, I can only tell you what it is that I see. See, I didn't know that you had been invited to a seminar, so to me, it's still valid.
Okay, so it could be.
It just talks to you about, it just talks to you about an event that is coming up that you need to have the appropriate dress for and be appropriate at, okay?
Okay.
All right, it's pretty much that simple. Okay, if you think of anything else, feel free to call in at any moment in time. It's good talking to you, and I will see you again. All right.
Bye-bye.
Okay. And that was Sherry, and we're going to go to the next call. That would be Elise. And let's go ahead and welcome Elise into the studio. How you doing, Elise?
Hi, I'm doing okay. How about you?
Oh, just wonderful.
You sound great.
Thank you. So do you. Certainly.
Oh, I have this question. It's kind of weird. I don't like to drive on the highway anymore because whenever I drive on the highway, I see people running into the middle of the highway and waving me down, and then they disappear. So I realize they're not people. They're spirits, maybe of people who died.
Yes.
And I was wondering, how do I stop that from happening so that I can start driving on the highway again?
Yeah, well, the interesting thing about that is this has happened for a long, long time. You're not going to be able to stop them from doing that. However, if you increase your energy, it'll put you just beyond that, because I know exactly what you're talking about. Most of the time when you do come across those particular entities, and it happens a lot on a lot of the highways, specifically 95, these are people that have gone on before, and perhaps they're angry about something. And I'm going to go ahead and say that there are a lot of people who have died. Either they've died in untoward circumstances, or they're angry about something. Or there are people who don't know that they've died yet that decide to run out into the street kind of like a deer and just kind of, either wave you down or try to distract you. That has actually caused a lot of accidents. And there are people out there that know exactly what it is that I'm saying, because I've seen them myself, and I just look at them and say, what are you doing? That's ridiculous. I'm not going to be distracted, and I understand, because what you have to do, however, is you just have to focus on the road ahead, okay? If you give a little more validity to the things that are in the third dimension, the other things won't distract you so much. So remember, if you're going to be driving on the highway, try to stay focused on the physicality of the highway and not lose your thoughts into anything else. That's usually the remedy for it. However, you're not going to stop them from doing what it is that they do. It's just what they do. Sometimes we have to cope with certain things. It's kind of like being in a room full of children and hoping that they're all not going to do what you don't want them to do. That's impossible. But you can not be affected by it. Do you understand?
Yeah, I do understand. Yeah.
Yeah. But I understand exactly what you're saying. In fact, I've pointed it out to other people and say, there are a lot of people here that, out here that died as slaves or indentured servants or they just, on their property, they died and they just want to get back at someone. So they're looking at these machines and they wait right until you get there and then dart across the road or dart right out in the middle of the street. And these are shadows or they just look like people that are kind of hollow and you go, what, did I really see that? Of course you really saw it. It's just a matter of whether you want to accept the fact that you saw it or not. And that doesn't mean go out there with a butterfly net and try to catch one of them, because that's actually ridiculous. However, there are a lot of things that happen on the highways. Remember, there weren't always highways there, and there have been a lot of people that have gone on here that have come and passed here. So just try to focus on that third dimension. Do you understand?
I do. Thank you. Okay.
You're very, very welcome. It's good to hear from you again. Okay, if you come up with any other questions, please feel free.
Well, I do have another question. I don't know if it's okay to take up the... It's okay?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay. All right. There was this lady that lives downstairs from us, and she's pretty old and she has brown hair. And the other day she went out and she came back, and there was another woman that was standing behind her. And I said to her, "Oh, you're bringing your friend over?" And she said, "No, there's nobody with me. What are you talking about?" And she just went in her house. And the next day when I saw her again, she looked exactly like the person that was standing behind her. And I realized the person that was standing behind her was a spirit, but now she looks just like her. So why does that happen? And, what is there something that I could do to help her with it, or?
Well, you're assuming that she needs help with it.
Oh.
Do you understand? Sometimes you have to just assume that this is the way that people want to be and that it's okay. Now, did you see the spirit try to hurt her?
No, not necessarily. It just, the spirit didn't look like a benevolent spirit.
Well, I understand, but appearances can be rather deceiving. Sometimes you have to wait for whether or not that particular spirit is actually doing something that would warrant you thinking that the person needed help. On the other end, maybe she asked for it. I understand that, you being a spiritualist, you always want to help someone. Okay, I understand that, but sometimes you have to weigh whether or not your help is needed at that particular point, or even if it's going to be invited. Sometimes you just have to wait for the person to ask you for help.
Oh, I see. Okay, that makes sense.
That way we're not going around picking fights.
Yeah, I understand. Okay.
So look at the situation from an unbiased perspective and just kind of say, okay, we understand that there are always spirits, and this person is saying there's no spirit behind me, so she's totally unaware of what's going on. Okay?
Yeah.
And you really don't want to say, hey, there's a spirit hanging behind you, because at that moment you'll scare her, and she'll either think you're weird or she'll just wonder, she'll stay up nights looking for some spirit, So that's not the way that we do things. We just kind of wait until there's an opportunity to help, or that someone asks for help, or you see something actually being done wrong. Okay?
Oh, I see. That happens a lot to people, yeah.
Yeah, just say a prayer. You know what you do best. Pray for them.
Yeah, okay, sure. Amen.
Okay? Good. Okay. I hope that helps you.
It does. Yeah, thanks a lot.
Good, okay. It's good talking to you, Elise. I'll see you soon.
Okay.
Okay, night-night.
Bye-bye. Good night.
All right, that was Elise. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take a show break, a short break, and I'll be back to speak with you all and have some more questions being answered. And you're on the air live. Ask the Unicorn. I'm Ahura Z.
You're listening to Ask the Unicorn with Ahura Z. DeLisa, answering all your paranormal, metaphysical, and spiritual questions. Call us now at 664-9638 to speak with Ahura, or post your questions via chat room on our show page. If you have an issue you'd like to discuss with Ahura in more detail, he offers telepathic readings and spiritual counseling by phone and Skype. Ahura also teaches private classes online using Skype video. For more information, visit Unicorn Cove School of Metaphysics at www.unicorn-cove.com. And now back to Ask the Unicorn.
Hello, I have to apologize for our listeners here because we're having a few technical difficulties. But I hope you all can hear me, and I hope that you don't hear me during the breaks. But if you do, sorry about that. I'm still learning. Now, we're going to go back to the floor with some questions. And what do you got for me next?
Well, this next question is from Vasu. And they ask, "Hi, Ahura. I come from India, but currently I live in Germany. My grandmother passed away last year. I just have a small question. My aunt had a dream some months ago in which she heard my grandmother say that it is cold here and that she cannot find my grandfather. It's been about 20 years since my grandfather died. My mom recently had a dream in which she said that she heard her. She was sounding young and cheerful, but apparently seemed to be concerned about my uncle. Neither of them wants to investigate this, and probably if they have these dreams again, would they actually consider doing something about it? I just want to know from your perspective, is this just coincidence, or do you think there is an underlying reason? Thanks. Best regards, Vasu."
Okay. Vasu, I can tell you this, that there's no such thing as a coincidence. When things appear to be a coincidence, is because it's time for things to happen. And it's kind of I like to call them a coordinated incident, is what I like to call them. That means at that particular time, it doesn't necessarily have to be investigated, but it needs to be aired so things happen. Okay? You're going to have to leave that choice up to those that want to investigate or don't want to investigate. That's the best move for you. If you choose to investigate something, then by all means, go ahead. And if you need help in your investigation, I'd be more than happy to help you or there are a lot of other people that would be more than happy to help you out. However, no, there is no such thing as a coincidence. I say full speed ahead on your intuition. Okay, let's go to another question. I hope that does help you. What's your next question?
This next one comes from Xanda, and she says,
Louder.
"How do you feel that the job of readers has changed in recent history?"
The job of a reader has never changed. It's the people that change. The job of a reader has always been the job of a reader. It's just what people do with it, as I was saying earlier. You know, the job of a reader is merely to point the way and help a person reach where they need to have reached. It's not to think for a person. There are those that do the job well, and there are those that do not. However, I will say this about when you go to see a reader. The best thing that you can do to help your reader out is to cooperate. Okay, don't ask trick questions. Don't, not volunteer information that needs to be volunteered. We're not there to play parlor tricks or, can you guess what I'm thinking? That's kind of dumb. If you want to go to a reader, then at least be an intelligent client. And, when the reader says, hey, I'm saying this particular thing, you have to think on your end as well and say, hey, that's right, I did say this, or I did have this. I've spoken to people lots of times. I say, okay, here's an example. I told her, so-and-so left a little wooden duck bank for you that has something on the inside of it, and I think it's just a note, but it's definitely a wooden duck, kind of like a decoy. And the person says, well, I don't know anything like that. And I said, I'm sorry. I keep getting shown this over and over again, so I'm sure that this is an actual wooden duck. I'm sure. And the person says, I don't know. And then finally, just in the course of talking, the person says, there was that one little thing that my dad left for me, and it was a statuette. And I said, well, what was the statuette of? He says it was a duck. And I said, okay, what was the statuette made of? He said, well, it was a wooden carving. I say, yeah, it was a wooden duck. That particular thing you need to look into because it was actually a bank, So if you're going to go see a reader, at least, help the reader out. Don't go there with some preconceived notion of what a reader is. That way you get the best reading possible. Our job has always been the same, to merely point the way for you, to show you what we see from the top of the building when you can't see it, So help them out. That's the job of a reader. Anyway, I do hope that helps you. I'm going to go back to the phone lines just for a moment, and I'm going to talk to Amy York, who just stepped in. How you doing, Amy?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Wonderful. You're on the air live with Ahura Z. What can I do for you?
I was wondering, would changing my name help me let go of the past? Changing my first name?
Changing your name doesn't help you let go of anything. Okay, changing your name merely changes your vibrations. That's like saying, would changing my name cause the world to spin backwards? No, you're going to have to deal with what it is that you have to deal with. You're going to have to find out what is in your past that is troubling you and deal with that directly. However, changing your name will possibly change your vibration enough that you'll be better equipped to deal with it. The past is always the past, and there are certain events that you just can't take back. But what you can do is perhaps gain a little strength so that you can face those things and then move on. Understand something. If you have a problem changing something that needs to be changed in one location, you can change your location, you can change your name, you can change every single thing. But if you haven't conquered that particular demon at the threshold, it's just going to follow you. It'll just take a different shape. So I say deal with the past that needs to be dealt with and then change your name, or change your name anyway and just deal with that past that needs to be dealt with.
Okay.
Hopefully that'll help you.
Yeah.
Go ahead. If you were to.
Question. If I were to change my name, how would I go about choosing something stronger or more grown up?
Well, you'd have to determine what is stronger. Maybe look at some of the names and find out the definitions of these names and find out if that definition does resonate with you. There are lots of names out there, but understand it's not just changing your name, it's changing your vibration. And then decide if that particular vibration does fit with you. For instance, if you're going to choose the name Thor, I think before you did something like that, because you might get those things that come with choosing a name such as Thor. So you really have to think about what you're doing. Okay, Amy is a great name, but if you feel that you need to change it, then find out exactly what you want to change that to. Even make up a name, and find out what the vibration of that is. Perhaps understand what numerology does and how it applies to what it is that you've chosen. Find out if there's any totemic symbology that would go with your name. Understand all the same that if you're going to change your name, it changes your vibration. It doesn't, however, change your past. Okay?
Okay. Yep.
So do some research. Find out what's out there.
Okay.
Okay. I hope that helps you. It's good talking to you. Have a good evening.
You too. Bye.
All right. That was an interesting question. I like these particular types of questions. If you have any question, whether it be personal or public, go ahead and feel free to ask it, and I'll do my best to answer your questions. I have all of these answers because basically I am a telepath, and that being a telepath that has been well-versed in many, many different areas, I have some answers to give. Whether you agree or not with my answer, that's up to you. However, I will do my best to serve you in the most positive way that I can. Even if you have something that is troubling you, it's okay to ask your question. For those of you that want to call in, the number again is 718-664-9638. I love it when people call in because I get to talk to them one-on-one. If you just would like to have your question wrote in, you can do that, and we will answer any questions that come our way. All right, speaking of questions, what have you got for me?
Next question is from Chris, and he asks, are there some energies that cannot be removed?
Interesting question. Eventually, all energy can be dissipated, no matter what it is. Whether or not you're equipped to remove a certain energy is really what you want to ask. Are you capable of removing a said energy? Sometimes you could be, sometimes you can't, but there's always someone who has that particular capability. So this is why it's important to ask questions. It's also why it's important to be well-versed in what it is you're studying when it comes to the spiritual. It also helps you when you have other people to bounce your ideas off of and when you have other people that you know. In other words, it does you the best thing that you can do is establish a very strong spiritual network or a mystical network or a paranormal network that we have a wealth of knowledge to draw upon. So, but to answer your particular question, there are some energies that are more difficult to remove than others. I think that all of us like to believe that we are capable of doing anything and everything, but sometimes we may not be the tool for the job, or we may not be capable of removing a certain energy, but someone else may be. That's why you look for help. And there's nothing wrong with looking for help. Okay. I hope that does help you, Chris. And what do you got for me next?
I've been seeing a lot of clouds that have an uncanny resemblance to how angels are typically portrayed. Is there any significance to this?
Only to you. Only to you. If you have that particular thought, it's a pretty safe bet to say that there's something in that particular shape or something in the clouds that helps you. Okay? Not everybody will see what you see. I think that's a common thing with that comes up, is that because you see something or you saw something doesn't necessarily mean that someone else saw it. But it's okay that you saw it. Do you understand? It's okay. You don't need validation from anyone else to see what you see. If you looked at the clouds and saw an angel, then you looked at the clouds and saw an angel, and that may bear some significance to you. It may not bear some significance to someone else. So you can't really get mad at a person or be frustrated with a person because they don't see what you see. The best thing that you can do is to hold on to that particular vision that you saw, even with your physical eyes, and decide whether or not it bears some significance in your life. And if it does bear some significance in your life, exploit it to the highest. Okay? So it's more of a question of, a better question to ask yourself would probably be, I saw an angel in this cloud formation. What does that mean to me? Is there an angel that is looking out for me? Are angels real? I can tell you that they are. And for those of you that believe that they don't come in human form, you're seriously deluding yourself again, because they do come in human form. They can come in any form that they choose to. That's kind of why they're angels. Okay. So, yeah, it bears some significance. I hope that does help you out. Okay. I'm going to go back to the phone lines again. It's great that there are people calling in. This particular caller is Monday. And we're going to welcome Monday in. And how are you this evening, Monday? How are you? You're on the air live with Ahura Z.
First and foremost, I must thank the strength of your prayers that have offered me my freedom in my moment of despair. You were the person I called, and everything that you said has came to fruition. So thank you, Uncle Z.
You're very, very welcome. And you have to realize you played a part in that. So thank yourself. And okay. Your mother.
Well, and my mother. Thank you very much. So on to my question. It's something that's been plaguing my thought for some years, and I would like to know how to lower my spiritual frequency so that I may be less visible to my enemies and less threatening to those who would perceive me as a spiritual, physical, or intellectual threat.
That comes with altering your physical energy. Understand that the first level of spirituality is reality. You're going to have to take an inventory of what it is that you've done or what it is that you're doing or who it is that you are. What you don't want to do is lower your spiritual energy. You really don't want to do that. What you want to do is merely transform your spiritual energy so that you are more or less invisible to negative things and very visible to those positive things. So you're going to have to learn some discipline, young man, like all young men do. You know, you're going to have to learn some form of a discipline, and it's not like there's not a banquet of discipline out there for you to follow, but you're going to have to stick with something. Choose something, and in your case, I might recommend some form of martial art. I might recommend that because if you are working your physical body and you're making sure that there's a healthy balance between your mind and your body, that will do what you are looking for. It's not so much lowering of anything that you need. It is channeling of spiritual energy. The best thing that you can do is heighten your spiritual energy. However, there are people that are going to be threatened by your appearance whether or not you choose for them to be. And the last thing that I would have you do is hold your head down trying to hide when you are the proud person that I know you to be. So my suggestion is this. Think about all of those that have reached out to help you, all of those that have ever done anything good for you, all of those that have risked themselves in order to help you be a free person or help you be a good person or help you to just be a strong person that will represent your family and your state of being in a positive light that will help other citizens and other people in this world. Think about those things. There are a lot of people that went in to help you Monday. So when you start thinking about them, think about how you would love to be able to pay them back or to represent them. And do that to the best of your ability. And you'll have to change your thoughts on humility and being humble. Understand that being humble is not a lowering of anything. And understand that being confident means that you are being humble, because confidence is a child of humility. So understand, if you are following the disciplines that were given to you and representing your family and your life in a positive way, you are indeed being humble. So do that confidently, and you'll be doing the right thing, and you'll get the results that you want. So the next time you decide to do something that is not positive, think about it just for a second. Remember all of the people that held their hands out so that you could grab onto it and they pulled you out of hell. Think about those moments before you do something that you know you should not. If you do that, you won't land in the pit. The pit won't even exist for you anymore. It'll take some time. Remember, all of us young men, when I was younger, young men need discipline. There's no getting around it. You know, we need discipline. Basically, up to the time that we have learned to leave the halls of stupid, we are exactly that, stupid. And there is no young man, no man on the face of this earth, as a matter of fact, that did not visit the halls of stupid. I don't care who they were or who they think they were. We all have lessons to learn. And we must all receive discipline. So be the disciplined being that you need to be. Make your mama proud.
Amen.
Okay? I hope that helps you. It's good hearing from you. And tell your mother I said hello.
I will. Thank you, Uncle Z.
You're very welcome, Monday.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Take care. All right, that was Monday. Good to hear from him. I like it when people come in and tell me about results, tell me the things that they've done. It helps them out, and it helps me out, and it helps what it is that we're doing. Because anybody that decides to do something positive has a challenge, and that means carrying on. And I'm going to carry on with another question.
All right, this next question comes from Arlisha Valentine in our chat room. And she says, hello, do you teach telepathy? Also, can you tell me who the dark-haired man with blue or gray eyes is who shows up in my dreams?
Okay, yes, I do teach telepathic development, and I will give you some information that will help you understand, you know, how and when and why and all that good stuff. And the particular person that you're talking about is a relative of yours that you may have lost touch with or may have just briefly seen. However, this particular person has taken it upon themselves to make sure that you're guarded and protected, especially since some events that happened last winter. So that's the person that you're looking at. And you might call that person a guardian angel of sorts. Don't go into all of the sci-fi methodology of that, but this is a person that is basically a guardian and will give you some information, but you're going to have to wait for the information. Okay? That's who that is, plain and simple. If you'd like more information on that, you can always contact us. You can call our number, which we've told you before, which is 207-347-5686, and schedule a counseling or a reading with myself, and we'll fix you up that way. I hope that answers your question. I hope it helps you. Okay, I'm going to take one more little short break, and the reason I'm going to do that is because I would like to play a song, and this particular song is called Battle Song, and this is for those of you that have had some challenges in your life, and understanding that there is an army of angels that is waiting to help you at any moment in time. I will be back shortly, and you're on the air with Ahura Z, and this is Ask the Unicorn. Okay, that was Battle Song, and that was Pisces Project. For those of you that would like to download some of this music, you can go to our music site, and that is Unicorn One Records. That is at www.unicornonerecords.com, and the name of that song was Battle Song. Okay, I'd like to go back and kind of re-answer a question that was asked about telepathy. I myself am a telepath. Now, what a telepath is a little different from a psychic. The difference is not huge, okay? It's not like we're different creatures or anything. It's just one is a little different, which basically says that my information can come from anything. In other words, I don't have to depend or focus in on a particular type of energy in order to get a reading from it. I'm kind of like an open channel. In other words, I receive information about a problem or about a benefit to a person's life. It's not about reading the person's mind. That's something entirely different. It's not about guessing what someone has in their pocket. It's about using your mind at a different frequency. In other words, I can touch something and get a reading from it, or I can see something and get a reading from it. I can smell something and get a reading from it. I can feel something. I don't have to guess at things. In other words, there are certain things that I'm very confident in knowing, and there are certain things that I'm not. I'm a very clear channel, or as my teacher used to call me, she called me ground control, because basically the information just comes ship to shore with me. In other words, what I see is what you'll get. Okay, and there's no real filter in between them. I have learned to filter things over time. Now, a person asked me if I teach telepathy. Yes, I do. Or I teach telepathic development. I teach classes all the time, and that could be done either in person or it could be done over the internet or over the phone even. It depends on what a person is actually comfortable with. When a person is learning how to develop themselves as a telepath, we have to establish whether or not that person has a telepathic ability. Now, it would be incorrect to say that everyone possesses that particular ability. However, it is correct to say that everyone is psychic to a degree or another. In other words, this is a psychic planet, and we can prove that very, very easily. And I've done it many, many times, having a room full of maybe 200 or 300 people and having them all close their eyes and picture an apple, and then have them smell the apple and taste the apple. Now, 300 out of 300 people have done that, even those people that call themselves a skeptic, understanding that we do share kind of a neural web, and that neural web is hooked into this particular Earth, which is hooked into the solar system, which is hooked into the galaxy, which is hooked into the universe. Okay? Basically, what that means is, to a degree, when great teachers told us that we all are one, they were telling the absolute truth. Etherically, we all are one. So whether or not we believe that we're so different from one another, that's kind of a delusion or an illusion. The truth is, we all are pretty basically the same. It just depends. Some people have a little more, some people have a little less, some people have blue, some people have red. It just depends on what we are, but we are basically the same. In other words, when you think of a person, they can, to a degree, depending upon how much intuition that they have, can sense that someone is thinking about them. They may not think that you're thinking about them, but they know that someone is thinking about them, and there is some effect to that. Now, what I do with a person is teach them to develop that particular sense, or develop that knowing, or develop that particular vision. And there are certain exercises and things that happen over time to help them. It all comes with not only exercise, but it comes with counseling, it comes with physical discipline, it comes with mental discipline, it comes with sensory discipline, it comes with knowing the difference between an emotion and a feeling, and all of these things. And that takes time to do. Even if you're born with a natural ability, you still have to train it, as I did. Otherwise, you could become a first-class telepathic jerk, which is what I was. So once I received training, I understood the importance of what it is that I'd been given. And I don't really agree or disagree with what anybody else thinks telepathy is. However, I do know what it's not. And I've had occasion where someone was pretending to be telepathic and they weren't, and I just really didn't say anything about it. It's not really my place to do so until I was challenged, and I did, and I do. A lot of the shows that are on that have children that are exploiting children and calling them psychic kids, many of these children are not really as psychic as they have been led on to be. There are some that are, but there are many that are not. And rocking back and forth and saying how much in pain there are is not a symptom of being psychic. That is a symptom of being delusional. However, we all have our ways. Now, if you'd like to receive some form of training in developing yourself, I can do that, but understand I do not teach for free. And anybody who believes that I should offer my time and services for free, again, is deluding themselves. I worked very hard for my training, and I know what I'm doing, and I'm very qualified to teach. And if you'd like training from me, understand it won't be for free. However, if you'd like to receive some form of training in telepathy or psychic development, you can reach me at Unicorn Cove School of Metaphysics. That's www.unicorn-cove.com. I can also be reached at several other places, such as Ask the Unicorn, this particular show. And for those of you that need the web address, it is www.asktheunicorn.com. Okay. You can also see archived episodes of my show. You can also reach me for those of you that are into the paranormal and learning how to do a paranormal investigation or understand what paranormal investigation is. I can be reached at Unicorn Rangers. That is my Unicorn Ranger Psychic Police Department, and that is www.unicornrangers.org. You can also find me on Facebook, and that is www.facebook.com/Ahura Z. Now, understand, if you really want to know what telepathy is, that's a pretty long discussion. There's no quick answer to what telepathy is. Telepathy is an experience. It's not an explanation. However, if you develop your psychism to the degree that you develop it into a telepathic ability, that would be a plus for you. I believe that we all, in fact, it is my wholehearted belief that psychism and telepathy should be taught in regular curriculum at schools. I don't understand why it's not. There's so many telepathic people that are in schools and in colleges. I think it's the most astounding missight to have psychology be taught without telepathy. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense also that people with gifts are not pushed into developing those gifts. You know, if you think about it just for a second, this should be normal curriculum. It should be part of regular scholastic teachings. You know, it should be part. And I'd be happy to help any school at any point in time. I'll be happy to help any law enforcement at any point in time, whether that be local, state, or federal. But as far as the schooling goes, if you have telepathic children and you know that you have telepathic children or psychic children, you owe it to them to help them develop that particular gift. It may help you even in the long run, and that is spoken to the parents. But understand that, listen, you can pretend all day that these things don't exist. You can pretend all day that you don't believe in these things, and it really doesn't matter. What matters is that there are children and there are people out there that have these abilities that have been miscited, or they've been looked over, or they've been told that they were crazy, or they've been medicated to the degree that they can't even hold common thought, rather than to be developed. And it's about time that we started looking in this particular direction. As far as people out there that don't believe in telepathy and they think that people like me are crazy, that's fine. That's just fine. However, if I was rich, you'd call me eccentric. So, as far as I'm concerned, I don't care whether you believe in it or not. And I know that there are whole societies out there that say, well, we're going to prove that telepathism doesn't exist. It's such a waste of time. You know, I don't care whether you believe in it or not. As a matter of fact, if you don't believe in it, fine. If you do believe in it, fine. Your belief doesn't mean one hill of beans to me. It matters what you do with your belief or what you do with your knowledge. Okay, so yes, I teach telepathic development. I teach psychic development. I even teach manual development. It depends on what it is that you say that you want to do. If there's something in your life that you say that you want to do that will benefit mankind and womankind, there's a pretty safe bet that I can help you develop it. Okay? So I've given you the address. I've given you the invitation to take classes. I have given you the impetus to take classes. For those of you out there that are hiding, that are trying to be shrinking violence with your mentality or your belief or your ability, it's time to step out. Okay, people step out of the closet all the time, so I'm going to tell you, step out of the paranormal closet, okay? Come out and let people know, listen, I think I have this particular ability and I'd like to develop it. If they don't want to hang around with you anymore, then you don't need those people. So I'm just saying that for all of you people out there that are hiding. The supernatural does exist. Supernatural merely means natural and beyond. Remember that. Okay? Now, for those of you that believe that you can jump off of a building and fly, that's a little different. I suggest you step away from the ledge and understand that there are some physical limitations. We live in a third-dimensional world, which basically means that we have to obey some form of third-dimensional rules, okay? For those of you that can fly, and you've actually shown yourself that you can fly, hey, more power to you, but I haven't seen anyone yet that can fly, okay? And myself included. I can fly in my mind. Now, I'd like to get back to some of the questions here. So what have you got for me, Kazi?
Next question is from Tina Brown. She wants to know, when Michael was here, and every time he recorded Baby Jordan, there would be an orb or light that would dart across the screen, and she wants to know what they are and why they are there.
What they are and why they are there. I think I kind of answered a question earlier that was similar to this. Understand that there are certain guides and certain, even nurse spirits that help us along the way. And if they were there for Jordan, then they were there for Jordan. I think that these particular things that you saw may have been just energy or a spirit, an actual spirit, and that they were just checking in on him from time to time. But that happens with all of us. As I said, whether we believe it or not, there are a lot of people that are looking at us all the time. And sometimes they step in to help us. And when your son was here, that was the case. And now it may be even your son that is stepping in from time to time to watch over and protect or to guard. So there are spirits that exist. And they are watching us all the time. You don't have to hunt for them. They will find you. I hope that helps you. All right. What have we got next?
Next question is from Jason Spielman in our chat room. He asks, I have a feeling something big is going to happen in 2014. Any clue on what might that be, and if this is just a general feeling or feeling about me and my surroundings?
I think that you're referring to your wanting to change your location. There may be an opportunity that will afford you, or there may be something that will afford you that opportunity. Also, there are some events that I see coming. One of them has to do with visitors to this particular planet that I see coming. And the opportunity for that to happen is not far away. But there are some definite earth changes that are happening, and things that are caused, things that are not caused. For instance, we just had that major typhoon, and I'm looking for some more events like that. Now, for those of you that may be frightened by certain things of that nature, I apologize. It is not my intention to frighten you. I'm merely telling you to be ready for some events, some major events. For those of you that believe in aliens, understand that that doesn't really take a belief. They've been around for quite some time. And I believe that there's going to be more announcements to that, alluding to the fact that they've been around for quite some time. There are many events that will happen in 2014. My suggestion is that you keep your eyes open. Some of them will be very, very positive, and some of them will be quite negative. However, if you keep on the course that you are all going, if you for those of you that are trying to stay positive, I believe that you will be fine. Okay? Just keep your eyes open. Keep your eyes open and don't get paranoid about things. Just stay steady and stay strong. But you're right, you'll get the opportunity for yourself to relocate, so look for it. It's coming. The cloud that was stopping you is going away slowly. Okay. It's good to hear from you, Jason. I hope that helps you. All right, what have we got next? Okay, it looks like we have a caller here. Okay, so I'm going to open the floor to the caller momentarily. They're not really in our studio, but I will open that shortly. In the meantime, I want to tell you all that if you do have questions, please feel free to ask them. If there's some instruction that you need, if you're studying spell work or you're studying anything like that and you get the opportunity to ask a question or you get stuck, I'll help you as best I can. Now would be a very, very, very good time for you to reflect on the things that have happened all throughout your year and decide to start mapping out your new year. Okay, this person is in the studio right now, so I'm going to welcome Chris. How you doing, Chris? Hello.
Good.
How are you?
Doing good.
Okay, what can I do for you?
I was just wondering, is there such thing as telekinesis?
Yes, there is. I think we've had this discussion before. There is such a thing as telekinesis. Many refer to it as psychokinesis. And what that is the ability to move an object with one's mental energy. Whether that be a physical object or whether that be something that's not quite so physical. It just depends on the development of the person's magnetism or the development of the person's psionic power. That means mental power. Okay, now if you're looking for someone to be able to pick up a car and throw it across the street with their mind, I haven't seen that yet. But I've seen some demonstrations of a person being able to move objects just by concentrating thought on them. So yeah, there is such a thing.
I had another question. Is there, do you have to be born with a natural ability, or could you just train yourself through hard training, or,
Well, it depends on what that ability is. You can be born with it or train yourself. It's the same as any other ability, Chris. If you have the propensity to have a certain ability, then you can develop it. However, if you go to bake a cake and there's no sugar, you really can't bake the cake with sugar, can you?
No.
So if you don't have a particular ability or you don't even have the propensity for that ability, there's really no way for you to develop it. However, if you have the predilection or the propensity for an ability and you really want to learn it and you show some earnest nature in learning it, that is possible. It is indeed possible. So if there's something that you want to learn and you weren't born with the natural desire or the natural ability to do it, that doesn't bar you. You can learn. Does that help you?
All right. Yes, it does.
Okay. Good hearing from you.
All right.
All right. You take care.
I will. See you tomorrow.
Okay, that was Chris, and he's a very bright young man. Asked some very good questions, very deep questions. For those of you that would also like to call in and ask questions, you may do so at 718-664-9638. Now, normally I just have the show for an hour, but I've decided that I'm going to go longer, and I hope that you all can agree with that. For those of you that would like to make sure that I can do longer shows and do more shows, you can make a donation to what it is that we're doing. All you really have to do is to go to the Ask the Unicorn site, and that's at www.asktheunicorn.com, and you can make a donation there. We would very much appreciate it. As I said before, this is not my hobby. This is what I do for a living. I teach for a living. I educate people for a living. I help them for a living. I do paranormal investigations. I do entity and spirit removal. I do cleansing and spell breaking and anything that has to do with the metaphysical or spiritual. However, I'm not a fluffy spiritualist. If you're looking for me to just give you a bunch of platitudes and talk about how, the angels abound on the head of a pin, I'm not that kind of a mystic. The type of person that I am is a practical mystic. In other words, I practice practical mysticism. If it can help your life, I will do so. Okay. Now, for those of you that, again, that need help, we are here, and we're here weekly. If you'd like to see more shows, then you can help us out. Just go to the sites and make a donation. We'd be very happy to receive your donation, and we'd also make sure that you know that we appreciate your donation. Now, let's get back to some questions. Okay, what have you got for me?
This next question is from our chat room from Jeremy James. He asks, are telepaths able to confirm the existence or non-existence of the creature known as Sasquatch?
Yes, because they're telepathic too. Okay, yes, definitely. They do exist. And for those of you that don't believe that they exist, let me tell you of an experience that I had once. And I'll try to make this not really long, but this is one of those things that totally astounded me, that have to do with being a telepath. I was in Seattle at the time, and actually it was Redmond, Washington, and I was sitting out in my truck at my home, and it was in the evening, and there were people that were inside. I just wanted a quiet moment, so I sat outside in the truck, which I was wont to do a lot of times. And the shadow flashed past the rear of my truck, and because the front yard was lit up, and I just caught it, and my spidey senses went up, you might say. And I just caught it going into the bushes, but it didn't really interrupt the bushes. And whatever it was, it just totally caused the hair on the back of my neck or my head to just spike. And I said, what's that? That was really big, whatever it was huge, and it was fast. So I finally relaxed, but I had the distinct impression that something was watching me. And when I get a distinct impression that something is watching me, it's not like what other people get. I just don't count it up to something watching me. I actually begin to see it. And this thing was huge. It had arms and legs like tree trunks. It wasn't lumbering. It wasn't fat. It wasn't all grotesquely hairy or anything, but whatever it was, I had never run into anything like that. Never. And it was actually reading me. Because I was reading it. It was reading me at the same time and wondering why I could see it. So, we all do this. We say, oh, I can't possibly be seeing what it is that I'm seeing. And maybe it's just my imagination and I've heard some stories, whatever. So I tried to relax, but I really couldn't. And I turned towards the front of my truck again, and then it darted past again, and I turned full force, and I said, okay, whatever that was, it was 3 times as big as I am. And my first thought was that it was Sasquatch. That was my absolute first thought. But I said, wait a second, that doesn't look like any of the pictures I've seen. This thing is not lumbering. It went through a set of cedar bushes or cedar trees and it didn't even interrupt the fronds. It didn't interrupt anything. It was as if it melted right into them, and I just caught it moving into it. It was so fast, had I not been the telepath that I am, I would not have seen it. It moved into these bushes, and I got the distinct impression that it was telling someone else, he can see us. And I'm standing out there, and I said, okay, perhaps I should kind of get back inside. The problem was that it was between me and my porch. So I just kind of said, well, this thing is really fast. Am I going to be able to make it? Now, let me tell you what I was saying. I saw something that had to be about 8 to 9 feet tall. And it was huge. When I say huge, I'm not kidding. My arms at the time, because I was doing bodybuilding, were 20 inches. I was a big guy. And I'm telling you that it made my arms look like toothpicks. It made my legs look like toothpicks. It made me look like a child. It was not fat. It was not lumbering. It wasn't dark and hairy. It was hairy, whatever it was, but it was perfectly proportioned. Finally, I made kind of a creepy dash to my porch. And when I say creepy, it means like, your body really doesn't want to move, but you make it move. So I got back there, and all I could sense was that whatever it was actually reading me, scanning me, wondering why I could see it. And I just said, I can see you. And it was saying, why can it see us? I was an it, by the way. So I called up a friend of mine and said, that was on ski patrol, and I said, Kurt, do you know what I just saw? And I described what it was, and he says, oh, you saw a Sasquatch. I said, what do you mean I saw a Sasquatch? He said, yeah, they're out here. And I said, you could have told me that. This thing was huge. Another thing is it did not move normally. Whatever it was, it could camouflage itself perfectly. In other words, when it melted into the trees, the leaves, if you will, barely moved. It was as if a soft wind just blew them a little bit. Okay, so I wait till the next day, hardly sleeping that night. I go outside. I'm looking for footprints, because you always see it on television. They show footprints. Whatever those guys saw, I don't know what it was that they saw that they got a footprint for them. I couldn't find anything. This thing moved so fast that it barely left a footprint at all. There was nothing out there. There wasn't even an interruption in the grass. There was absolutely nothing that I could prove or disprove. There was nothing there. Nothing. And this thing was huge. You'd have thought it would have left huge canyon footprints in the soil because it was wet. There was nothing there. So I started thinking and saying, well, it makes sense that there are beings that have been here so far ahead of humans that they would develop certain abilities. And this is what I call a Sasquatch. And I can only tell you this, they are also telepathic, because this thing was reading me at the same time as I was scanning it. And quite frankly, its telepathic abilities far surpassed mine. I mean, they would have to. Think about it just for a second. Why would a Sasquatch just show itself to people and then subject itself to, being tortured? Because that's what would happen. So there are probably lots of beings out there, lots of different creatures that are out there that just refuse to show themselves. I'll tell you my UFO experience sometime, or what you call a UFO experience. But that was my experience, and that was 100% true, and it was 100% valid. So whatever they show the Sasquatch looking like there's that one thing that's very famous that shows this kind of fat, lumbering being. I didn't see that at all. And what I saw didn't look anything like it. And I happen to know that there's more than just one. There's a bunch of them. So, yes, we can see them. I hope that helps you.
And continuing on, Jeremy James wanted to ask, is there any indication that they are not entirely of this earth?
No. There's no indication that they're not entirely of this earth. If anything, they are originally from this earth. We like to believe that we like to call things aliens, but there are things that have been here long before us, long before us, that have just moved beyond our realm of thinking. So I didn't get that impression at all. I got the impression that they'd been here a lot longer than we have. So if they are from another place, they were from another place long before we got here. This earth is a lot older than what we think it is. And I really don't care what science has to say about that, or any other group that has to say about that. This earth has been here a long time. And for those of you that think that you can count the time that the earth has been here, that's impossible. You weren't here then. So no, there's no indication of that at all. There are indications that other beings were not here that are here now. But as far as they go, Sasquatch and other beings like them, they've been here a long time. Okay, I hope that does help you. I like questions like that because it enabled me to talk about that particular thing. What have you got for me next?
The next question is from Monday again, and he asks, I have a grandfather who was in World War I and II, and he chose to follow me as opposed to other males in the family. He communicates with me through punishment and protection. However, I've been ignoring him, and how do I harmonize with him?
Well, we have to determine whether or not you want to harmonize with him, because you said punishment. That's a problem. I have a problem with punishment. The mere fact or the mere thought that a spirit can punish you, and that's a good thing, is not right. Okay? Now, if this particular entity is protecting you, okay, we can say that, but I have a problem with the whole punishment thing. In fact, I have a problem with punishment, period. You know, someone gave someone else the right to punish someone, and if you're accepting punishment from someone, then you've got a problem. So we have to determine whether or not this is a spirit that you want to have in your life. Now, if you mean discipline, that's something entirely different. But understand, punishment is not a good thing. At this particular point, I think that you should get your physical world together before you start delving into the spiritual. Understand that because of your culture, you have a foot ahead on the spiritual realm, but you've got to get your physicality together before you start lifting your head up into those realms. So when you get to the point that your physical things are taken care of and you're able to cope with things on a physical level, then I will be more than happy to talk to you about a spiritual level or a dealing with spirits. Up until that point in time, I will use my psychic police methods to make sure that you're not being punished by a spirit. So I hope that helps you. That brings about a very interesting point. Listen, if someone is being hurt or punished by a spirit, it's very important that that get remedied right away. There are people that are capable all over this world of helping you out. And understand that just because the person can't reach you, or just because you can't get in touch with one person, doesn't mean that you can't exercise the option to find another person that can help you out. As far as I'm concerned, there's enough meat in the kitchen for everyone, so I will not be insulted if you choose not to go to me. Okay? So understand that it's unacceptable to be punished by anyone. It is definitely unacceptable to be punished by a spirit. To be protected by a spirit, we have to deem whether or not it is that particular spirit or whether or not it is some other spirit, and this particular spirit is posing as that spirit. But know this, your best protection comes with your own spirit, and understand your spiritual relationship with the universe so that you can remain protected. Okay, so deal with yourself first. Deal with those things that need to be taken care of first. And if you're dealing with those things that need to be taken care of first, and dealing with you first, you may not even need protection from another spirit. Just your own spirit and the Holy Spirit and the Divine Spirit that creates all things. So I hope that helps you. All right, what do we got next?
How does one go about acquiring a spiritual name?
Okay, this is a common question. I have to again say this. Listen, the first level of spirituality is reality, for those of you that really want to know. So deal with something that describes yourself. And if you're describing yourself and your nature, then you are dealing with a spiritual name. Do you understand? I think it's kind of a travesty that parents are allowed to name their children, because you guys, parents, you should be ashamed of yourself. You come up with some doozies. Seriously, you want to name your child after your grandfather or your grandmother or whatever? Listen, that doesn't help the child. That doesn't help the child at all. Give them their own vibration. And now, at the same time, understand that they are children and probably should not be allowed to name themselves at 2 years old, or else they'll come up with names like Peekaboo, or Bubblegum. So if you're talking about a spiritual name, then give them a real name, or at least let them, when they become of age, let them name themselves. You just think about, what is it that you represent? What is it that you want to be? What is it that you want to be seen as? What is it that resonates with you? And then choose a name. If that name resonates with you, fine, by all means. Then choose whether or not you want to go by that name legally or non-legally. If you just want it to be your tag, fine. If you wanted to go through all of your life, then follow the steps to make sure that that happens. But remember, a name is a vibration. This is what people will know you as. Okay, and this is what they will call you. And that particular vibration will steep itself into you. And you will become what that particular vibration represents eventually. So I hope that helps you. And what have we got next?
You talked about vibrational frequency in your radio spot last weekend, and I am intrigued. You said that you flood the person with their perfect vibration to cure illness. What exactly does that entail?
That entails me finding out everything I possibly can about you, and then we transfer that information into numbers, and then we transfer those numbers into notes and tones. And then what we do is we have you give a message to yourself, sometimes up to 5 times. And what it does is it becomes a key to your own subconscious. And once you have that key to your own subconscious, you can open it, and it becomes part of who you are. It becomes exactly what you are. It's like creating you up to 5 times, sometimes maybe 8 times. And what we will do is we will flood all of you with that vibration. In other words, it's kind of like going against a negative grain. And sound can be used to do that, but it has to be very specific. You don't just do a general sound for a person. That general sound may relax a person, or it may even get them into a mode, but eventually your consciousness is going to kick it out because it's not yours. What we have to do is find your tones. And we will use that to outnumber the bad vibration. Now, it also depends on what equipment you have. I can only do it to a certain extent, but I've gotten some pretty good results. And everyone that I've done a vibrational frequency from has improved. So it entails a lot of work. We have to find the proper tones. We have to find maybe the proper instruments. We have to find how many beats per second, or how many vibrations per second. We have to find how many beats per minute. We have to use your birthday to find out what resonates with your birth time and your birthplace. We have to find out what resonates with your name. We have to find out whether or not that particular name is going to actually resonate with you. And then we have to produce it. And we have to produce it in a way that it reaches your head and it reaches your body and not just your ears. It's a long explanation. However, it is very effective. And I know that to a degree there are people out there that do similar work than what I do. I've been doing it now for about 25 years. And, I've introduced a lot of people to it. And have had certain scientists that were part of the Atomic Energy Commission that wanted to know how I did it. And, I can only tell you this. It is very effective, and it can open you to a whole wide world of discovery about yourself. So, and in the event that you would like a vibrational frequency done, you can contact me and contact the school, and that's at Unicorn Cove School of Metaphysics. That's www.unicorn-cove.com. And I will be more than happy to even teach about vibrational frequency. And that way you can do it for yourself. Okay, now I'm going to take one more short break, and we're going to play another song. This particular song is called Gaia Chant, for those of you that would just like some primal strength and some good power to your night and to your day. And if you would, you might even try to learn it. It's very, very powerful, and it gets you results and helps you to gain strength. And here it is, Gaia Chant. All right. That was Gaia Chant by Pisces Project. And you can also download this particular song. It is a song of power. And basically what it was made for is to help people reach their primal force, particularly women, to help them reach that primal force. As you all know, I'm half Maori. And this particular language that I developed is not necessarily te reo, nor is it Swahili or any of the languages, but it is all of them. I kind of borrowed from all of them and mixed them together and decided, now what would that actually sound like? If you took many of the languages that there are, whether that be a Polynesian language, a Asian language, a African language, Hispanic language, and you kind of mush them up together, even some of the Celtic languages, and just kind of mix them up together, what would they actually sound like? Now, in my particular culture, there's something that is done by men that is called haka. In this particular case, I decided to do something that women could do. I don't speak te reo, but I am learning, and it's going to take me quite some time. But in this particular case, I developed this language, and I call it basically Gaia speak. And that's what I did. It's world talk. In other words, it's all of the languages kind of mishmashed together. But I'm sure that there are those of you that have heard different words that are actual physical languages. I just took them and put them all together to see what they would sound like, and it came out quite beautifully. Also, it also brought out this wonderful power to people. If you play this over and over again, it will help you surmount some of your problems. It will help you get through some of your difficulties. It would also help you to develop your own strength. It works wonderfully if you're doing something like working out. It's awesome. Now, you can order this song on the Unicorn One Records site. All you have to do is go to www.unicornonerecords.com, and you can find this song among many other of the songs that we have written. That is Pisces Project, that is Ahura Z, that is the Kur, and that is Master Zichi. And you'll find a whole cavalcade of songs there that will help you through your day. All of them are quite positive. I don't do negativity. My songs are non-toxic, and you will enjoy them all. Okay, now I'm going to get back to a question here. And who do we have the question from?
Well, we have a quick question from Supernatural Radio, and then we have another question from...
Okay. Supernatural Radio.
Yeah, we have
awesome.
new listener. And they ask, Ahura, my question is, I have always believed in magic, and people think I'm crazy a lot of times. What do you say?
I say that you're sane if you believe in magic, because magic happens every day. As my teacher used to tell me, she'd say, you know, people always say that that's impossible, but the impossible happens daily. It's the improbable that takes a little longer to happen, but it definitely does happen. Think about all of the things that have been accomplished in this particular world that are being accomplished at this particular moment. You know, far back we used to call everything magic. And in truth, if you're taking something that comes from mentality or taking something that comes from energy and you're bringing it into physical form, that is a type of magic. And whether or not someone agrees in it or agrees with it or thinks that you're crazy is irrelevant. The truth is your belief should be what it is that you validate. Now, if that belief can be made practical, then that's the best. However, if your belief doesn't have any practicality to it at all, it can't be used in any way, shape, or form, then I would suggest you reevaluate it. But as far as I'm concerned, yes, magic exists. Magic exists every single day. I mean, think about it just for a second. Even we as human beings are magical. We don't have any strings. You know, there's no rods that are holding us up. We stand, we walk, we talk, we run, we see, we think, we hear, we eat every single day. If that's not some form of magic, I don't know what is. And this is basically the truth. You know, you have to think about these things. A lot of times we like to put science and magic at odds with each other, but actually they belong together. You can't have science without magic, and you can't have magic without science, and that's just the truth of it. Now, whether or not there are people out there that like to open their little textbooks and agree with me or not, look at me, or hear me. I don't care. The bottom line is that magic exists. I don't think that you're crazy, and no one should think that you're crazy. But like I said, if you were rich, they think you were just eccentric. So magic exists. For those of you that think that it doesn't, that's got to be a really sad life that you live in to believe that magic doesn't exist. Hey, something is holding this earth in the place that it is, and don't tell me about magnetism, because I understand magnetism as well. But think about it just for a second. Someone had to create all of this stuff. There are all of these different planets out there. There are all of these different stars and solar systems. What's the purpose? Just for our entertainment, so we can send a giant telescope up into the air and say, oh yeah, that's there. That's baloney. The bottom line is magic does exist. I'm one of those people that does magic. And my spells do work. And I know that there are a lot of people out there that can say the same. So tell them, if they think that you're crazy, tell them it's crazy not to think that magic exists. That's the way that I think about it. I hope that helps. Okay, what do you got for me?
This next question is from our Skype listeners. And this person asks, I have a heaviness feeling inside of me. I guess I feel like a bunch of jigsaw puzzle pieces that never fit just right. Every pretty picture I've created was forced. I'm having memory lapses. I don't know what has happened to me, and that scares me. I have always had fears and insecurities. I just want to fix everyone and everything, but at the same time I'm screaming on the inside, begging for someone to fix me. I just spend all of my time worrying. Can you help me? Why am I having all my nightmares every night? I'm somewhere and I'm wandering, searching for something I can't name, and I'm always hunting. The man I love is always at risk, and I never get there in time.
You're human. Okay? That's the first answer I'm going to give you. The second is, I understand. There's something on the inside of you that needs to be developed that you have absolutely no way of developing. Not only that, you don't see anybody around you that is capable of developing it or helping you with it, and that's why you're frustrated. The reason that you feel helpless is because you feel as though this particular energy is growing bigger and bigger, and you don't know what to do with it, so you're scared. And the moment that you get scared, you get emotional. When you get emotional, you can't think. And when you can't think, you can't see. When you can't see, you can't react or respond. So you're frozen. And that's one of the worst places to be in, especially if there is a gifted person on the inside of you. If you're forcing these pretty pictures to happen, then it means that there's something that is so traumatic on the inside of you that is happening that you're just not willing to face it. Mainly because you don't have the proper guidance. You're going to have to find some form of guidance. And you're going to have to stick with that form of guidance until it yields to you, or yields what you need. The problem is you're not getting what you need. Okay? Whether that's coming from an educational system, because I'm willing to bet you're a young person, okay? Or that comes because someone in your family dropped the ball with you. But when they dropped the ball with you, they dropped the ball hard and just left you on the court. And you're trying to find some reason why. What you need to do is just face the fact. The fact is you need help. I know that, we are all told that we're supposed to survive on our own and stand on our own 2 feet, but sometimes you need someone to help you. And as far as the man that you are in love with being at risk in your dreams or in your thoughts all of the time, you have to see whether or not you're the one putting that person at risk, or are they putting themselves at risk and you're accompanying that risk or enabling it, or maybe you can do something about it. But you can't do something about it from an emotional standpoint. So here's what I'm going to recommend. If you feel that you need to call me, and I suggest that you do, I can give you some valid steps, some very concrete steps, but you'll have to follow them. You'll have to make a decision to follow them or not to follow them. I'm hoping that you do follow them. You need something that will unite your physicality and your mentality, and hopefully bring you to a point of logic, so you're no longer just reacting emotionally. You have to react logically to things and then respond. The reason you feel like a jigsaw puzzle is because there's so many areas that you want to delve into but have absolutely no way of reaching them. So it's kind of like looking at all of this wonderful stuff to eat and you're starving, but you can't get to it because there's a giant plate of glass that is between you and it, and no matter how hard you bang on it, it won't break. So what we have to do is stand back and find where the door is so that you can enter into this place. So give us a call. I'd be more than happy to help you and help you to reach what it is that you're looking for. Just be real about it, though. And if you make a decision to do something about it, don't go out the back door, because I'm willing to bet also that you've asked for help before. And then when the person tried to help you, you ran away. Don't do that. Stand your ground. And to directly answer your question, yes, I can help you. So, I've given you some steps. I hope they help you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to actually end tonight's session, and I hope you have all very much benefited from what it is that we've offered here. And if you feel that you really like what it is that we're offering on this radio show, that you will help us to keep doing shows. If you go to the Ask the Unicorn site, that's www.asktheunicorn.com, and make a donation. That can be made by PayPal, or however you'd like to send the donation. That will enable me to do more shows of this particular nature. I know that you all have spiritual answers. This is what I do for my living, not my hobby. So if you want to see more of this, help me help you. I'm Ahura Z. This is Ask the Unicorn. Keep your questions. For those of you that I didn't get to, I will make sure that I get to you next week. Tell your friends about this. The more listeners that we have, the better. Okay? And I will be doing this every single week, God willing, Goddess willing. As I said, I'm Ahura Z. This is Ask the Unicorn. You're on the air live with Ahura Z. Good night, everyone. Have a brilliant week. I hope it is a magnificent week for you. Night-night.
You've been listening to Ask the Unicorn with Ahura Z. DeLiza. If you have a personal matter you need help with, Ahura offers telepathic readings and spiritual counseling by phone and Skype. He also teaches private classes in an array of subjects online using Skype video. Visit Unicorn Cove School of Metaphysics for more information at www.unicorn-cove.com. If you have a question for Ahura to answer on a future episode of Ask the Unicorn, you can email it to questions@asktheunicorn.com, and we'll add it to the list for our next show. Ask the Unicorn broadcasts live every Wednesday night at 8 p.m. U.S. Eastern Standard Time on Blog Talk Radio. Visit our website for more information and to hear archived episodes of our show at www.asktheunicorn.com.
When you don't know, just go and ask for do-de-o-do. Ahura Z will journey with you to all the places on the go. What do we do? And when you don't know, just go and ask for do-de-o-do. Ahura Z will journey with you to all the places others won't go.